Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. I'm Tim, joined this week by Craig, and today we're playing a little bit of the post-CID KHADOR. This is the Wolves of Winter list, and just to make things a little extra spicy, I am playing Malakov. Craig is playing Kallus1 in Primal Terrors.
Yeah.
I think this is actually the first time I've had Kallus1 on the channel, at least in ages. Certainly this is a meta list, kind of a meta-shaping list, certainly something that was at the ATC, which I was attending not that long ago, and something that's been a force in our local meta. If you haven't seen the Kallus1 Primal Terrors list before, it is a Primal Terror. Just because it's a little bit more straightforward, do you want to go over your list first, Craig?
Yeah, sure. So my list is going to be Kallus in Primal Terrors, like Tim said, with a battle group of a Blightbringer and a Harrier. The rest of my list is Ammok the Truthbearer, Warmonger War Chief, a Feralgeist, 2 maximum units of Bladed Rotwings, 2 max units of Chosen of Everblight, and 2 Hellmouse.
Really good list. Lots of cool pieces. This is obviously, it sort of ensues the Warmonger version of the list in favor of lots of Pathfinder pieces. You're looking to do a lot of your heavy hitting out of Ignite plus Chosen, maybe Finisher on some of those birds. And you're playing as many really disposable bodies as possible in the interests of having a really powerful feat.
Yeah, I think it should apply that feat pressure in a lot of interesting ways.
Yeah. My list is Malakov2. He's a scummy Khadoran bourgeois bastard. Pretty cool dude. We haven't seen a lot of Malakov before. He's sort of a little bit of an underappreciated caster. He got a bit of a tune-up not that long ago as part of the Mana War cycle. And I'm actually playing him in Wolves of Winter. So, there you go, guys. This Wolves of Winter list has 3 units of Doom Reavers, which have gone down to the 10 points. 2 of them have attachments on them, the Greylord Escorts. I've got 2 free units of Ternions, 2 Koldun Lords, Greylord Forge Seer, a Destroyer, and Ruin, who is now legal in the theme. On top of that, I have a minimum unit of Outriders. And my final mercenary choice for the theme list is Alexia and the Risen. So, kind of a bunch of dudes, a little bit of a light tough skew, and Fenris. Fenris is in the list as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into the game, show you guys what we got. So we rolled off. Craig won the die roll and elected to go second. No, I won the die roll, chose to go first, so Craig has elected to pick side and go second. Hindsight being 2020, I think actually that was the wrong choice on my part. The side is interesting, but it doesn't maybe have, like Craig said, has 2 really nice placements for Hellmouths, which are appealing. And I wanted to go first to get up the board really aggressively, but I think having access to the scenario pressure of going second on Spread the Net might have been a smarter call. So, hindsight 2020, I was like, yeah, I'll go really far because Doom Reavers, advanced deploy and stuff. And I think that might have been an error. Speaking of errors, I'm going to deploy Ruin out of my control area. And then I'm also going to deploy him out of range to be powered up by any models in the list. So right off the hop, you can tell this is the first time I play this Malakov list. I've done a little bit of theory with it, and we've definitely thought about it and talked through the matchup. And I think there's a lot to like about this list, but I'm going to make some mistakes, and I just like to afford notice to that. Having said that, Alexia and the Risen are a unit I played a whole bunch, and obviously my KHADOR practices is on form. So I'm building little corridors of placement for Alexia and the Risen. Generally speaking, I had to play Alexia first or with all the other pieces, and then the Risen after that. I've got spots for those Ternions to kind of come up and be relevant, put clouds in places where they might care about them. I've got Ruin there to threaten maybe the further zone, and I've got my Destroyer in position to be in this zone. My upkeeps begin the game in play because of Wolves of Winter, so I've got Tactical Supremacy on the Destroyer, and I've got Escort on Malakov.
Yep, so my deployment, just going to basically put the Blightbringer centrally so it can score my friendly beast zone, and then 2 sort of pods of birds in front, Chosen in back on either side, to allow me to sort of flood the board as effectively as possible. And then sort of put the Feralgeist and the Harrier off to the one side towards Tim's zone.
Threatening to score my zone with the Harrier, threatening to score your flag with the Feralgeist. Seems pretty good. I've got lots of things that can kill the Feralgeist, but most of them are sort of melee-oriented tools, and it's kind of a low-priority piece, so if Craig holds it back a little bit, it ends up being tricky to remove with things like the Destroyer gun, which would be what I would normally kill a solo on a flag opposite a destroyer with.
Yeah. So same thing over here.
So you deployed your chosen behind the birds. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I want the birds forward. Is basically the idea, so they can run. They can absolutely just peel forward and be able to apply for feat purposes. So if I don't care about the birds getting killed on feet, I do care about the chosen getting killed on feet.
Okay.
So they get a bit more space going forward that way. I mean, ultimately, I could have given the chosen more table space, but it would have been a bit more. They would have probably moved the same distance because I still need to put birds in front of them.
Right.
Is the idea.
That makes sense. Outside of the shot, you can't quite see the clock, which is unfortunate, but you will see we're shipping it back and forth here. There's a little bit of thought going into this deployment. I deploy. This is the Doom Reavers are color coded by sword and staff color. So this sort of blue, I'm going to call them, unit of Doom Reavers is deployed without access to Relentless Charge or anti-healing tech. So they're the ones I'm placing kind of way up in the flank here. And then I've got 2 units that are kind of going to deal with the more kind of rubble and terrain packed portion of the board. It's going to be a green unit and a sort of orange or red unit. I will say I really like this theme. I always have really enjoyed the sort of Mad Dogs of War when that was played. And when the edition swapped, I played a little bit of Rusk 2 with Doom Reavers. And that's a really cool list. This has echoes of that because there's a feat term where you get Tough No Knockdown. But obviously it plays quite a bit differently than he does. So that's what we're playing around with today. That's what Malakov is kind of going to be about. On top of those things, Malakov has some dirty trickiness. Like he's got access to giving a unit stealth once you throw those clouds out on them, because you can choose Doom Reaver models to have clouds placed on them since the CID change. They no longer need to be targeted by a spell. They're simply chosen to have a blizzard on top of them. And then you can kind of build a little bit of a cloud wall with models in it who have stealth if you give them that sneak battle plan. So that's kind of what Malakov's trick is. Obviously not super relevant in the Legion matchup, but a thing that I've been sort of thinking about with this list. He can also make a model able to knock something down, which is pretty cool. It gives him a lot of tools for dealing with stuff.
So my Helmut deployment, I'm basically deploying the tentacles in such a way that Tim can choose to apparate a unit and charge a tentacle, and then they will all die. So
yeah, no, that's pretty good. Craig has offered me this option to kill 1 tentacle from each unit, and I have elected to decline. It is not maybe the best option for me. So, top of 1, what do we do? Well, first of all, we immediately realize, oh, geez, Ruin's way over there. That was kind of dumb. I mean, Malakov doesn't mind being a little bit of a jerk and hanging out over here, but he's sort of really far away from Ruin. That means I'm not going to benefit from the extra movement of Escort. I'm not going to benefit from power up. It's maybe just not a great scene. So I apparate the Outrider unit, and they immediately run right off the board. No, they're sort of in a bit of a line, staggered across from Craig's zone there. I don't bother to check threat ranges on anything over there, and mistake the fact that they are now in range of the Blightbringer to shoot. So that was maybe a mistake on my part, but that's okay. We move up the Ternions, leaving a little bit of space between them, create some corridors. They target 3 models with Blizzard, and I'm going to place the Blizzard after these models move because it goes with the model. It does mean if the model's destroyed, the cloud disappears, but I'm building a little mini cloud wall up here with Ternion and Doom Reaver placement. And we're just sticking some Doom Reavers behind that cloud wall a little bit. Just creating a little pocket of space there. Alexia, for her part, she runs with her unit. I kind of placed one of the Risen fairly far out there, expecting to turn it into a Thrall Warrior, and it continues to kind of move up the board. Spacing on Risen is really important. Like I like to have some back, so Alexia has kind of an anchor, couple of points of damage if she gets clipped with something. Some forward so they can be relevant and be contesting pieces, but lots of space between them for other models to move. This unit of Doom Reavers, they got the Relentless Charge battle plan spell from the combat caster Greylord attachment there. So that means he gets to cast a spell before the unit gets the press forward. So he casts Relentless Charge. 2 of them charged and got to just basically the edge of that rough terrain. The rest of them just ran into it. So they've all got cover. They're all kind of just up the board doing their thing. Other unit Ternions put some clouds out, and this unit of Doom Reavers again is going to run, sort of position those cloud walls to sort of block up space. I mean, there's not a lot that I'm really trying to insulate against because Craig's army is largely melee, and the portion of it that's not melee is able to ignore clouds. But we're here. We're going through the motions, so to speak. Fenris just running. So he ran. He doesn't have Pathfinder base, but he has a relentless charge, so he doesn't really mind being up in that water. Malakov goes next. He's got Escort up already. He walks over, sufficient to get Ruin into his control area again. I'm not going to be able to power up, but at least I'll be able to give him the benefit of Escort. And he casts Veil of Mists. So let's put that out there. And he tells Fenris to be sneaky and puts a cloud on top of him. Fenris has stealth. I don't think there's literally any point to that at all. The Blightbringer can ignore it. And Eruption, which is Kallus' offensive nuke, can't target Fenris. So, cute thing here, the Greylord Forge here runs over, and then the Koldun Lord walks into Command 9 of him, and he's able to say, hey, you can cast the spells of someone else who's in your command range. So you're going to cast the power-up from the Greylord Forge here. So good job, Koldun Lord. And with Ruin in control area, he's able to run the 10 inches. So fix it in post, as we always say on the channel here.
Yeah.
And never do. Other Koldun Lord ran up, and it's over to Craig. So, Craig, what do you think of this turn?
Feet. So basically, my whole point in this game is, or this turn, is just move up, bubble everything up as much as possible in Kallus' control area, and pop my feet, and basically have Tim's entire army break on mine.
Yay.
Best
feat ever.
Also, during this point, I'm going to shoot that cluster of Outriders at the top there.
Too clustered.
I'm looking at other potential options here. I could potentially get like 5 Doom Reavers if I was able to get that angle, but that requires the Blightbringer to be much faster than he actually is. I recognize this game that the Withering Ash warp of the Blightbringer is going to be more important than the armor will be for the most part, because you're probably going to kill what you hit for the most part for generally, and minus 2 def and no tough is a huge deal for Doom Reavers.
Yeah, because again they're a bit of a tough army.
Yeah. So we're just going to see where Kallus can go. He just walks up, pops his feet, and
cast Dark Guidance.
Cast Dark Guidance, because I'm going to have those tentacles wail on those Doom Reavers. If I can kill any of them, I'll do so.
Yep, and not terrible odds to do so. So you walked a couple of tentacles into range, third tentacle into range.
Yep.
And let's get Calamari up in this business.
Because, yeah, the odds are pretty good that they're going to kill Doom Reavers.
Doom Reavers are 13-13 with tough.
Yeah. Basically trenchers.
Without digging.
Yeah.
So first tough fails. Second attack hits, breaks armor. Tough fails there as well. Just checking Alexia's range for corpses. So far, she has collected.
Then I missed an attack or failed to break armor on the third one.
Hit with Dark Guidance,
right.
But then failed to break armor. Rolled, I think, double ones.
Yeah.
Craig's dice tray is conveniently just out of the shot.
It's keeping the clock company. So same with this other tentacle, this other Hellmouth unit. It's again just going to put damage into Doom Reavers, because he can bring them back with the spell from the Ternion, but not next turn.
Yeah, not on Kallus' feet turn.
Nobody's coming back this turn.
That is unfortunate. So basically, at this point, we're going in.
Just sort of moving up forward here to essentially insulate against the Doom Reavers, because I don't want them getting anybody I don't want them to. I really want them to just waste attacks on birds, is the concept here. So.
Yeah, wasting attacks on birds is... I mean, the creation of Incubi denies Berserk, so a lot of my infantry clearing tools are fundamentally turned off by the feat. The Incubi who are created are defense 16s. The Doom Reavers that need 9 sit them. Like, it's a bad scene.
So I'm just going to think of moving up the my right camera top unit of birds and Chosen to sort of fill out the side there, and also make the space for that Blightbringer to head up and just pop a shot into that unit of Outriders over there.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, look for Craig to do the thing Kallus1 players sometimes do, where they like leave a couple of guys out of range of their feet, and you're like, aha, I can get some attrition work done, and he does not do that. No mistakes thus far. So far, all of the pieces are in Kallus' control area.
Well, actually, there's one tentacle that's not in Kallus' control area. However, the unit of Doom Reavers there doesn't have silence.
Correct. Yep. Good stuff. So we just double check this 14 plus 5-inch movement. Looks pretty good, but my angle's not amazing before, so Craig just kind of confirms it for himself and then finishes moving the things that are out of the way. And when it comes around to actually taking the shot, I'm going to get him to double check because I want to be sure. It is, however, nicely in that shot. That's what happens when you don't measure that. Those Outriders could have been a couple inches closer to the clock. They could have been a little bit more personally spaced out. But you can really, really get a time advantage if you just play quickly and badly. And sometimes you get lucky and it works out for you, and you look like a genius. And other times you get punished for it. And those, whether those times happen or not, is often a function of experience with the list. So I'm like, that's not how we measure. Let's pop that wall up and just see where he actually is. So we pop the wall up, goes back there. Craig checks the 5. It's in by like an inch. It's totally fine. So he moves up, takes a shot, and luckily misses here.
Unfortunately, no. I land the hit.
Lands the hit. Boosts blast on both of them. Boosts the direct hit too, just because 5s are hard to roll. Kills, blast kills, and blast damage alive on 2 boxes.
Yeah. Figure I can mop him up at any point now.
Yep.
1 Outrider is a lot less scary than 3.
But, importantly, it's way less valuable. And as a result, less important to deal with. So it can harass you all game. So, Chosen run up, and you're like, what's the threat range on those Doom Reavers? And I'm like, 13 again. And you're like, all right, that seems fine.
Let's move things around. Thrall is going to move to a point where he can run to the flag, but not so that I can get charged by a Doom Reaver. That sort of plays out. And Harrier moves up to also similarly do that.
Mm-hmm. And it's over to me. And this is a bad turn. This is just going to be bad. Alexia has some corpses. She's going to create some Risen. And what are they going to do? Probably not very much. So he places some guys with a 9. Craig quickly identifies for me that everything, just everything, is in the feet. There's a sort of Kallus-shaped blob of ogre-chewing pieces.
Now, Kallus is only on 2, but he's also benefiting from his own feed, so he's effectively immortal.
Yeah. I'd agree with that assessment. I could shoot him at defense 18.
17, I think, but it's up there.
Yeah, 17. So sure, we hit that, right? Like that's easy. And then he's armor
16.
16,
but probably 18 because I'm not actually within the Blightbringer aura. So 16.
18 against melee attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 2 transfers. I just can't kill that. 0 transfers, I consider it. I'm like, there's some angles. I got some weird jerky nonsense that I could find a way to do. But 2 transfers, it's basically impossible. And Craig points some of his models who, because of wacky spears and axes, are not necessarily facing the way they should be, facing forward. Which turns off my plan of giving backstab to something and killing that model. I'm kidding, of course. That's definitely not the plan. The plan here is, in fact, to try to kill as little as I can. This is a rough turn for me, and I probably spend a little bit too long thinking about how to do nothing this turn, like the specific way in which I'm going to do nothing. But I do upkeep my spells, attack, supremacy, and escort her up. I probably going to try to kill a Chosen with a Destroyer. And then I'm going to try to put Fenris in an aggressive position to kind of contest the flag. And I'm going to contest Craig's zone with a Thrall Warrior, be as annoying as possible with it, and hope that on his next turn, he doesn't score 3 points. If he scores 3 points on his post-feat turn, I'm in real rough shape. So, Koldun Lord does that cool thing where he borrows the spell of another Greylord, and he throws Empower out onto the Destroyer. Destroyer activates, aims, boosts hit a Chosen, hits, boost damage, get wrecked Chosen, let's dance, catch 1 bird in the blast. Chosen gets a tough check, Chosen turns into an Incubus, And blast damage on the bird. Bird turns into an incubus. One of those I was totally on board with. One of them somewhat less on board with. Attack supremacy. Scooches over a little bit. And we immediately mulligan that and instead scooch a little bit into the water. Malakov being control area 12 is occasionally a restriction. It's not so bad this turn, but it's a factor in his kit. I think you have to think about. Red unit of Doom Reavers or the orange unit of Doom Reavers, they move up, just kind of engage a bunch of stuff. Greylord Escort moves up and he says things don't heal within 5 of me, and they don't do anything else. Malakov walks his full 6 forward, bravest man in the KHADOR Empire. He camps, spends 2 to cast open fire, and he pops his feet. He's going to tell that destroyer to take another shot. Kill something else. You got this, destroyer. Shoot that incubus. It misses. And it scatters. Nowhere. To the 3, 5 inches. Whee, it's gone. That's fine. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Malakov is done. He's cast open fire and defeated. That's his job. Fenris is going to go next. Fenris charges. Parry from the feet. Thank you very much. Would have taken a bird free strike. Impact attack. Hits an incubus. Kills it. Blood quench. +1 strength and armor. Oh, Fenris. And his charge attack on the other incubus, needing a boosted 8 this time. Barely clips it, and he quenches some additional blood. He berserks into the bird. Kills the bird. And he makes a second initial on the incubus. Leaves it alive. Pretty good. Pretty good, all things considered. Fenris has been a bit of a boss there. I'm leery to create incubi at all, but creating them and then sort of dealing with them yourself is, I think it's the environmentally conscious way to deal with incubi.
I would agree. You don't want to let them breed. They're invasive species.
Correct. Yeah, and then they can score flags and they can get into your zone, and they're really monsters, is what they are. Which is not too far from the truth. They look like monsters. I think bird incubi are just even more horrifying. It's just you came out of a bird person. This is what you are now. So we get 3 Doom Reaver charges on 1 incubus. They're looking for 9s. So 3 charges is not even a guarantee. The rest of the unit kind of fans out a little bit. First guy at 7, charging, misses. Second guy, boom, boxcars, kill that bird. Bird incubus. Birdcubus? Birdcubus. I like it. So that kills him. He laces a berserk attack into the tentacle, which I roll too many dice for damage. We reroll it, and he does not kill the tentacle.
The tentacle's getting the benefit of the feet is also nice.
And unconquerable. It's I don't kill the tentacle because it's in unyielding range right now.
Mm-hmm.
The tentacles are terrifying. The worst part is when you're like, okay, Blightbringer Maw, let's just shoot it with some shots and put some damage into it. I don't need to boost hit, I'm just going to boost damage. And then he's like, def 13. And you're like, why is it def 13? It's in the ground. It's like it wiggles around, dodging those bullets. Yeah, it's pretty good. So the Risen just kind of form a I would say human shield, but
post-human shield?
We're being a little generous. Yeah, like a post-human shield. That's good. A couple of them move into to range of, being Alexia's kind of ablative shield in the late moments. And they're moving up. And this Outrider is playing the long game. Getting into position to flank as hard as possible.
Just going to move up some more support models here to be in a position to potentially pull back in some Doom Reavers later, I believe, as you're thinking here. And some more clouds.
Yep.
Always with the clouds.
Yeah, again, they're not a big deal right now per se, but Malakov snuck himself. So, that's there. Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of the tricks are not necessarily very live in this particular matchup, but you can still, and again, it doesn't look very good right now. I've lost some pieces and I've killed literally nothing, but at this stage, Malakov has weathered Kallus' feet, feated himself, and we're going to see if that turnabout has any experience for us.
Mm-hmm.
The Ternions up top are kind of flanking a little bit. I sort of later decided maybe that was a bit of a mistake. I didn't realize that their Bonds of Woe requires that the Doom Reaver unit be in their command range, so they're kind of not super well positioned for that. Again, lessons that we learn while we're playing these things. But I'm still pretty happy here. Like this is an effective round. I have not left many incubi on the table. I think I've literally killed all of them.
Yeah, you cleaned up quite nicely after yourself. So this turn, I'm looking at the board and I'm thinking that the best thing I can do at this point is just put as many Doom Reavers down as possible, potentially get rid of Kallus, and just sort of move up a bit more aggressively with everything else and just continue the tide. Also, towards Tim's flag, there is a Risen within an AoE 5 of 3 Doom Reavers.
Ugh.
So
Yeah.
that's also going to be part of this plan. That will wipe the blue unit fully.
That was a mistake. I should have positioned them a little differently. Certainly, that Risen is not helping the situation very much.
So we're looking at the thing here, just sort of planning out the turn a bit more, deciding who needs what. I initially opted to decide to try to put Ignite on something, but then realized that there's a potentiality of like Ruin getting in on stuff, maybe to Kallus, and I don't want to be camping 0 in the event that it comes down to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to be as safe as possible. Ignite would have been nice. It would have helped both the impact attacks because they're melee attacks, as well as the charge attacks of the Chosen. POW 11 finishers are much better than POW 9 finishers.
Very true.
So I have 4 great targets for Ignite in this list. But thankfully I don't need Ignite to kill most of the stuff here.
Yeah, and like Dark Guidance plus Ignite has pretty natural synergies because if I just tough a model like repeatedly, you can still burn him to death. Like that's an option for you. Because again, the element of the feat that gives no knockdown means a model could theoretically just tough multiple times in a row.
Yeah. So that's why I'm going to also use the Withering Ash Warp on the Blightbringer this turn in order to ensure that nobody can tough in the Blightbringer's area of effect.
Yeah. Now, I think because the Blightbringer's focus this turn is going to be killing the 3 kind of Doom Reavers on the far flank, you're not going to get that on much of the bottom side of the board, but that's okay. You've got a lot of attacks here.
Yeah, so Ammok moves up to sort of free up some space. He's a nice, easy, low-impact activation. You have no upkeeps that I can strip off with him, so we'll be just cool with that. So at this point, we're just going to swing some, I think it's Tentacles this turn right now. Tentacles are just swinging on Doom Reavers. Anybody I put down is fine. Like, it's just free money with them.
2 failed tough checks so far. That's okay.
Is there an overlay for that we can get?
3 failed tough checks. I'm not going to make Evan make one of those. I'm sure they bounce back to average here, but I'm just counting them out of personal interest.
So the first unit of Hellmouths have gone. They can't be gripped this turn, which is nice because you basically can just pull them back into a way they bounce into something on the way into the Hellmouth.
Yay. Weird, complicated activation timing issues.
So I'm going to probably move. Essentially, the birds go first, then the Chosen for the most part.
So I think I've given you kind of like something to think about this turn.
Yeah, it's taking me a lot more time than what I would normally like on my post-feed turn, which is basically move up and just continue pushing forward.
So that's what happens here. The birds move up
and
continue pushing forward.
So a couple of them charge some Doom Reavers. One of them charged Fenris in order to put some damage into him potentially.
See if you can finish him.
Yep. Finish him with the models without finisher.
Yeah.
And then same here. Just, again, I have attacks. May as well take them. Dark Guidance is a big deal.
Tough check.
Yep.
1 for 4 now. This Doom Reaver is good. He chooses not to move. The other bird attacks. And this one fails. 1 for 5. Still above average at this point.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not right. Not quite above average.
Next one is going to go in on that guy. Toughs him.
Yeah, now we're 2 for 6, which is perfect.
The guy just sort of...
And he gets to move. And with the combination of parry and no knockdown, he can walk. He can't quite fit between the tentacle and the bird, so he walks an inch back and around. We're just carefully measuring this to get him around that guy. Bird wings are a chore and a real positive experience. This is all on my clock, too. We flipped it over. And he's got 1 more inch, and he's like, aha, hello, chosen friends. chosen friends significantly better than the obligatory friends.
Yes, agreed. So also same swing on with the other birds on that side.
Yep. We're going to fail 4 of these before we pass 2. That's the system. So we've one of 4 so far.
So now let's look at the situation here. There's the chosen here. A couple of them can get on Fenris currently. It's an term of currently.
That might change.
So we're just seeing where people can be in order to get into good places. The bird's going to repo. So in order for that one bird to not get a free strike from a Doom Reaver or Fenris, the idea is that I'm going to use 2 birds to block line of sight.
You're going to use 2 birds as 1 stone?
No.
So these 2 birds are going to move in. They're going to block line of sight of that Doom Reaver to the other bird. Yep. Because he didn't leave that Doom Reaver's line of sight during his own movement, that does not provoke a free strike on that bird. That bird then no longer has line of sight from any part of the Doom Reaver's base to any part of the bird's base, even the back, even drawing from outside of his front arc. And he's able to repo outside of the Doom Reaver's melee range into the zone.
Yeah.
Well played, Craig. Well played.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch.
It was, yes. That is a thing you can do. There's a lot of provisos there, but having adhered to all of them, you're set to go. And a chosen impacts Fenris. Impact attack, dark guidance, POW 14 on the?
Yeah, 14. Could be
punchy.
16, but
alas, alack. Fenris has 2 plus armor tokens on him right now.
Yep.
Little blood tokens marked in red there. You do a nice roll. You do 6 points of damage. I think it's 10. It's great. And I'm like, well, time to move. And you're like, I don't get to make an attack there. So you reposition, or pardon me, Fenris gets to reposition. And I try a couple of different 8-inch moves here. Again, this is, make sure it's on my clock. I'm not sure I want to be outside of Malakov's control. So I swing him back and I go for a much more conservative reposition that's in the zone just outside of your melee range. I think about that for a second, again, all being on my clock. I debate how far back would I have to be out of your charge range. That's in charge range, but outside of impact range of, unfortunately, both chosen. But it puts me within 4 inches of the flag. So these are the things I'm thinking about right now. Both that guy and the Doom Reaver are outside of Malakov's control area. So yeah, hard decisions to make. Can't get out of the threat range of the chosen. Can maybe weather another attack, maybe to a dismount and a tough check. But if I dismount, I'd have to dismount still into melee range if I want to stay in contesting range. So having considered all of those things, I ultimately go just outside of the melee range of the chosen who impacted me.
Yep. So I'm going to basically put him into charging the Fenris, but going to be impacting that Doom Reaver.
Both, actually, Fenris and the Doom Reaver.
Right, yes. With the charge target being Fenris. So I'm just going to put him there.
And Fenris is the model that you contact.
Yep. I'm just going to just Tokyo drift that chosen there.
Mm-hmm.
And he also hits Fenris. Dark Guidance helps a lot here.
Yep, 3 dice to hit on your impact attack. The Doom Reaver does not pass his tough check.
And Fenris is now off his horse.
Mm-hmm. So Fenris is damaged and dismounted. I dismount him to the front of the dismount base. And I'm just going to reposition him outside of your melee range. And I'm sort of looking where I can put him. Can he be in Malakov's control range? Where can he be? This is all during the movement step of the Chosen's activation. So both of these models can still make redirected charge attacks. So it's still important that Fenris stay out of both of their melee ranges. So I do that for both models. And at this point, you choose to, I think, impact Fenris and charge the Doom Reaver.
This is a bit greedy, but I figure Dark Guidance can paper over a lot of sins here.
Yeah, I mean, if I pass a tough check here, it's really good for me. If I fail the tough check here, it's too bad.
Mm-hmm. You can get knocked down now, which is nice.
Yes. So I fail the tough check there. Oh, well, third of the time works every time. Yep. You continue making your charge movement, and finally the last chosen just runs.
Yeah.
So now we get charge attacks. In 2 cases, these are redirected.
Yep.
So the first one redirects into a Doom Reaver, who does not pass his tough. And the second one on the Doom Reaver here is a charge attack. He passes his tough, but by being out of Malakov's control range, he is knocked down.
Yeah, I'm looking at the position here. Fortunately, the Harrier is just out of control, so we can't charge that that Doom Reaver, because it would have been nice to just sort of take him out and move it up a bit more.
Score a scenario point at the bottom of the turn with the Feral Geist. Yeah. I have managed to successfully contest the flag. That's actually, I mean, it sounds like it was a ton of work, and like using the feat almost exclusively for this piece here cost me a ton of Doom Reavers and an 8-point Cav model, but ultimately, like, not letting Kallus score his own flag and spread the net is a really big deal in terms of where the scenario pressure is going to swing out. So I'm not going to say I'm happy with that trade, but it's a bigger deal than it might look from a distance.
Mm-hmm. And now for this thing up here.
Yes. So some birds kill a couple of Doom Reavers. I
think it's Hellmouth Bird. Hellmouth Bird Chosen is the typical order of operations here.
Yeah. So we're killing models with Hellmouth tentacles here.
One of the Hellmouth tentacles turned around specifically to avoid engaging that one Risen over there. And then he also gripped after killing the Risen, so as not to block line of sight to things.
Yep. It's nice that Hellmouth tentacles, if they're in your way, can just delete themselves. It's really useful on a Tarpet unit to be like, we're very hard to remove, unless it's our turn, in which case we can be trivially removed by just making attacks. It's a sweet rule. So birds kind of go in two different directions. One of them advances into to melee range of this Thrall, who's gainfully contesting, and the rest of them kind of just spread out, sort of blob out a little bit. Mm-hmm. Having them kind of walk on a fairly tight tether because of the placement of that Thrall is good for me this turn. It helps keep their command ranges really restricted.
So we're just going to keep attacking stuff. That Doom Reaver again toughs. He's toughed twice.
He has. He personally has toughed twice. Many other Doom Reavers have not toughed. He has toughed twice. He's going to leave the melee range of the other bird, and he's going to engage Kallus and the Chosen. And a Maw, because why not?
Maw's already gone, so he's fine. So the bird swings on the Thrall and misses, alas.
The Thrall is getting a little tiny piece of the wall.
Yeah.
So the bird is actually couldn't quite get base to base with him, and is giving him a tiny piece of the wall. So it's a def 13 Thrall against him at what, 5?
5, potentially 6 on base to base. So,
well, he's not base to base.
Yeah.
He could not quite do it. So the Blightbringer enters the zone as previously discussed, and as previously discussed is going to shoot an AoE 5 at a Risen.
Yep.
Craig's like, yeah, I'm just going to shoot that Risen and kill 3 Doom Reavers. And I'm like, huh. Yeah, that looks like it's in AoE 5. Let me just hope with this widget here. Yeah, no, it's in AoE 5.
So I hit the garbage zombie.
Yeah, the garbage zombie is dead. And you do the withering, so I get no tough, and you kill all of those models. And you kill the other Risen and Blast as well, and then I get you to place the AoE and you kill that Risen. It's just everything is dead. Everything is dead. Not my finest moment.
So this turn I'm figuring out what can deal with the Thrall and the one Doom Reaver. Not a lot's left. Also, the one Doom Reaver that's toughed a bunch of times is a problem. So I'm going to use a Chosen to just do
my plan for him is I'm going to give him the battle plan where he knocks you down, and he's going to knock down Kallus, then I'm going to shoot you with a bunch of guns.
Seems like a fair plan. Then just sort of the Warmonger War Chief is actually being a kind of a problem for my positioning right now. It's sort of in the middle of everything.
Again, the tethered command range of those Chosen means you have one guy trying to kill a Doom Reaver and one guy trying to kill the Thrall, but he also has to be over the wall again. So the guy who kills the Doom Reaver gets to tough again and walks back into Kallus' melee, but leaves the melee range of the Chosen. Parry's a hell of a drug.
And the other guy fails to kill that Thrall again.
He misses him over the wall.
Yeah. Keep rolling them 4s.
That wall has been very kind to me. I did not expect that Thrall Warrior. I was expecting him to require resources but not contest the zone, but definitely preventing Craig from scoring both points on his side of the board on Kallus' post-feat turn is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Best case scenario is I get 3. I actually got 0. But on the plus side, I have a pretty commanding attrition lead.
That's very true. Your attrition lead is nothing short of commanding. The War Chief, who is in the way of everything, comes in and he finishes the job. He kills the Doom Reaver, who does not tough for the third time.
So now I'm in a good position. There's one model contesting that zone, which is not ideal, but...
One model contests the zone, one model contests the flag.
Yeah. But on the plus side, you're down to 3 Doom Reavers? 2 Doom Reavers.
Yeah, I've got 2 members of the green unit, 0 from the blue unit, and the centrally placed orange unit has only an escort left. So that's not a lot of Doom Reavers. I mean, in my defense, I only brought 30, but having only 3 left is not ideal.
Because the Doom Reavers are your primary source of volume of attacks here.
But they're also my primary source of damage.
Yeah.
So it's been an experience. So far so good though. Like, you know, I haven't lost yet. That's step 1, don't lose. Step 2, question mark, profit.
So what's your plan this turn?
Yeah. So forming a plan is step 1 of the strategy here. Step 2 is executing it. So the feat's done, and both jacks power up this turn. Now I can put up a Veil of Mists, have Ruin go through that obstruction. He'll have to trample to get in there, and I can put a couple of attacks into birds or whatever, do some damage. Put something like big in the zone like Ruin, so that I'm not giving you a point there later. I think I'm going to be able to clear. There's a contesting Tentacle and a couple of other pieces contesting, so I'll be able to score a point with the Koldun Lord on my flag. So that puts me in a position where I'm getting kill a bird, score my zone, kill a Tentacle, score my flag, get to 2 points and make scoring points like difficult for you next turn. That's probably the line of play here. Malakov's going to come back a little bit because he's sort of generally afraid of everything.
His job completed, he now retreats.
Yep. The Greylord Forged Seer is just going to walk into this water a little bit. When you're wearing heavy mana war armor, just like walking into a puddle is maybe the worst imaginable life choice. But it's important this destroyer gets a focus. And his command 7 is only so permissive. So, Risen are next. They just sort of back off. I've got some Risen that are engaging a bunch of birds, so we're going to do a couple of CMAs in the back. Got a Risen who's fairly aggressively positioned to be turned into a Thrall Warrior. We kind of scooch Alexia a couple times, make sure she's still got him in command, and she's still behind that building in sort of range to collect all the corpses. She turns him into a Thrall Warrior, and we put a couple of CMAs into birds. First one fails to kill, ironically. Risen have pretty piddly claws. And the birds are sort of remarkably, like not like high armor, but like decent armor with the unyielding bubble.
Yeah, and Kallus is up pretty far, so those birds are in.
Everything has the unyielding bubble right now. It's truly poisonous. So basically, I create a Thrall Warrior and don't really get any birds. That's okay. So we move up the Ternion unit. They are going to do their cool Bonds of Woe thing, which is, hey, you there, I'm giving you a sword and you become a Doom Reaver. So they're going to kill a couple birds and make a couple of Doom Reavers.
This dude walking around with a golf bag full of fell blades.
They have to be in command range, and the green unit is not in command range, so they end up placing a member of the orange unit. We check this after a second. I confirm that's in command, but in 3. But also the Doom Reaver unit has to be in his command range. So the Ternion can't create a member of the green unit, so we just swap him out for a member of the orange unit. So these guys end up doing that. It's a cool mechanic though. Like the sort of conscripting people with the blades is neat because, you know, functionally when a Doom Reaver dies, you just have to pick that blade up and throw it in someone else's hand to make a new one. It's weird when you do it to birds. But that's Craig's fault for bringing a less narratively compelling army than I did.
What, the birds that are also Incubi and now also Doom Reavers?
Correct. They've been switching roles pretty aggressively here. I don't get any corpses from those, so a little minor scornergy in the list. But I think Alexia's had her fill of corpses this game. She's been doing pretty well with Risen. I'm going to move up, and the Koldun Lord is going to do the Bonds of Woe. He's in range to use his, I taught you the spells when you were 6 years old, and I was already in the middle of 3 wars. But he misses. Magic ability 8 apparently is only so good. We are going to have the Doom Reavers go next. Oh, sorry, the Destroyer's going to go next. Destroyer's going to take a shot at the Chosen. And I think about it a little bit, and I opt to not boost to hit with an aiming bonus, hoping that I can boost the blast damage. And I roll Snake Eyes and miss. That's okay. It's the consequences of what you do. I scatter 5 full inches, clip the Harrier and the Feral Geist, although my weapons are not magical. Boost damage, and I roll a little underwhelmingly there. I do 1 point of damage. So Doom Reaver unit's going to go. They're just advancing in the interest of being able to have the guy who was knocked down stand up and still make an attack against the 2 models he's engaged with. The Greylord Escort does no healing within 5, which could be useful. I Snake Eyes my attack roll with the knockdown guy, and the guy who didn't charge fails to break armor. And that is that. The Escort went to make an attack and then realized I couldn't because I can only make an attack and cast a spell in the same activation if I charge, because I'm a battle wizard. Or pardon me, a combat caster. Also a battle wizard, but in this case it's combat caster that matters. And that's them so far. A little underwhelming for my unit that still had people in it to do as relatively unimpressive as they did. I'm kind of looking for a bit of an attrition swing back here, and I don't really get it right away. Malakov backs off to the edge of the kill box, puts a Veil of Mists on the train there. Couple of notes about his positioning. You see I've got that like little trio of Risen back from him. He does have Sack Pawn, and it's just warrior model, friendly non-incorporeal warrior model. So I can definitely Sack Pawn to Risen if Craig gets a beat on me with a Blightbringer or something like that, and I'm just like afraid I'm going to die. He has a lot of ways to just like give up his army for his own personal gain. Ruin tramples and buys an attack, walking through the train with the Veil. And he buys a couple of attacks, and he gets 2 souls. And I have now killed 2 birds. 2 corpses for Alexia, too. We're using every part of the creature. So only model contesting this flag is, in fact, the Tentacle. So the Greylord unit, the orange unit we talked about before, they're running. The guys who were brought back can only make an advance because they have to forfeit their combat action. But they're running basically so that I can get them in command range of the Ternions who are going to sort of swing over. So the Koldun Lord walks up to the flag, and I kind of think about a couple of different things I could do here, but I ultimately decide that damage-wise I need to do the -2 armor on him, just to make sure he can be finished with the 1 die. So the -2 armor is POW 10, so functionally POW 12 here, but only 1 die. Don't kill him with it, which is ultimately in my interests, because the Ternions are going to come over and they're going to be in range of that Doom Reaver Escort now, so they can Bonds of Woe, and maybe they can turn a Tentacle into a Doom Reaver. Yeah, that's right. We're not afraid of this nonsense. Literal monster hunters. Let's we resisted the Orgoth occupation. We're more than happy to just give swords to some things. So the first one fails to do any damage. The second one does break armor, turns him into a sword-wielding maniac.
Thrall kills the bird that failed to kill him.
Yeah.
All is as it should be.
All is as it should be. Other Thrall charges a Chosen and rolls a bucket of dice. Does all right for damage. I think, 5 points, something like that?
Yeah, it winds up being a bit of damage here.
Net 5 points?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we take a Outrider, harrying Outrider, takes a spray on the Chosen on the back, doesn't do anything, and then just repos. Yeah, that's turn. KHADOR scores 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm looking at the thing, and I notice we're both actually low on clock. This game has been a kind of a grind.
Yeah, I think we've got like a combined 20 minutes left or 25 minutes left, something like that.
Yeah.
I think at the end of my turn I had 14. At the top of your turn you have 11.
Yeah.
So something in that neighborhood.
So you scored 2. I'm looking to score 2 this turn. It should be fairly doable. I can't see what stopped me from scoring 2.
Well, the army that used to be there would have stopped you, but...
So we're going to just do that for sure, and then contest all scenario elements, and maybe even kill that Destroyer if I want to do that, because he's well in the range of all 4 of those Chosen.
Yeah, this is bottom of 3 now.
Yeah.
So we're using a little more time than we probably should. Again, new list and lots of weird, janky bullshit.
Yeah. Also, we're going to kill Ruin this turn, or at least try to, because I can get the strength aura on the on Ruin with the Blightbringer, and then charge you with a bunch of now POW 11 birds on account of having higher strength.
Yeah. Dice -9. They do what, like an average of 5 each?
Yeah.
Ruin has 32 boxes, so you need like 6 of them to do it? 6 or 7?
Yeah, and plus whatever damage the Blightbringer does.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I'm hoping for a bit of a spike, but if nothing else, he's going to be quite mangled.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. I didn't really maybe do quite the math on just the effectiveness of the birds. With the combination of Dark Guidance, they hit basically whatever they want to hit, and with Finisher, they get up to 4 dice. So if you can just put a little bit of chip damage on the Blightbringer, and you can have them in its aura, then all of a sudden, instead of being, dice down 11, doing practically nothing, just scratching the paint, they're dice down 9, rolling Weapon Master attacks, and that's starting to get into the territory of quite relevant.
And if I throw a Ignite on them, which I debate doing this turn.
Oh, please throw Ignite on them. Go down to 0 with Kallus. It's my only out. So we do some Chosen. At this point, I think they're just advancing.
Yeah, they're just kicking and axing some zombies.
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
The zombie invasion.
Just going to keep putting as many zombies down because I'm going to create some more zombies next turn.
Yeah. Zombies die. Zombies return. It's just this endless cycle.
Yeah, the circle of life.
Well, circle of something.
And I finally put that stupid Thrall down.
Well, actually, yeah. I'm going to say, the second one's a created Thrall. You killed him this turn, but now you also killed the other guy.
Yeah.
Good job, Chosen. You managed to kill not even a third of your points.
Harrier goes, charges the Doom Reaver toughs. Harrier kills the Doom Reaver.
Bot attack, dead Doom Reaver.
Yep. And now that flag is mine. So that's good. Hellmouth tentacles are going to go. Press forward. That one's going to charge for no bonus on that Doom Reaver, hoping my ability to roll a 4. And then that other one charges the Escort.
Mm-hmm.
So we hit Dark Guidance.
Kill the Escort.
Yep.
Doom Reaver itself also dies.
Dark Guidance is such a helpful spell in this matchup. Having even above average mat still doesn't help when I don't roll well.
Mm-hmm. You end up gripping both tentacles to just sort of clear the lane for you.
Yep.
The bird charges the Escort.
Yep.
Bird charges the Destroyer. Bird runs to just sort of be in some zones. Bird charges a a Doom Reaver, one of the ones that's brought back, staying in Ruins melee range.
Yep.
No tough there.
And does like a point to the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Nothing super relevant, but
enough to turn on Finisher.
Enough to turn on Finisher for the model that already activated.
You do leave the Greylord on 3 boxes.
Correct. Yeah, I would want him to be dead, but also there's only so much I can hope for. So.
Yeah, I mean, the nature of this turn is just sort of take all the attacks you can, do the most work you can.
Yeah. I position things. I charge the Destroyer. I don't know if I can get all 4 Chosen on there without impacting that one bird. Maybe I should have done that. Just because I could have potentially finished them, or could potentially finish them. I feel a lot better with 4 Chosen than 3, but 3 is still pretty okay.
Yep. 3 Chosen can do a boatload of damage. You've already done like a smattering of damage with just your impacts.
Yeah. Just throw that entire unit in that zone.
Pretty powerful.
So yeah, just going to keep charging that guy with a bunch of attacks and leave him. I think after all said and done, he's alive on like a handful of boxes.
He's got, I think, 8 boxes. However, he has Right Arm and Cortex. The axe and the focus to buy attacks with the axe.
But his gun's gone, so that's good.
Yeah. And I checked there that there's 5.5 inches between that Greylord Forge Seer and the Chosen. A little bit less than that.
Yeah.
So he's got enough room to charge 3.5 inches and have a 2-inch melee.
Blightbringer walks, shoots Ruin. I clip the bird and the tentacle. Due to the fact I'm using Dragon's Breath, I can't actually damage the tentacle with blast damage. And
pretty good.
And the bird also gets the benefit of that, so I need like a 7 to kill the bird at this juncture. Or 6, something like that.
Bird also lives. Like it was a good Blightbringer shot. You killed literally nothing with it. I mean, nothing other than doing damage to Ruin, which is kind of essential at this stage.
Yeah. 7 damage into Ruin's a nice start.
Yeah.
Because I feel a lot better with Kallus if he goes down.
Yeah, I mean, Kallus is standing kind of with a couple transfers out in the middle of nowhere. If Ruin just decided to, like, charge in and kill his face, I think that would be not ideal.
Correct.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm just going to just charge you with 5 birds that can see him, and then a couple birds to sort of move up a bit.
To contest the flag.
Yeah.
So, charges on Ruin. Again, we mentioned before that these are dice -9. So we're expecting about 5 damage each. And the first couple are consistent in that respect.
Yeah. A couple of them underwhelm.
And then a couple of them do not underwhelm.
Yeah, one of them just absolutely smashes them.
I think it was 6663 or something like that. It was a good one.
Yeah, so he's on 1 box.
Yep. So Ruin alive on 1 box. Seems well within the neighborhood of the Ogren. So at this point, Craig has, I think, like a minute left on his clock. So he charges Ruin and he kills Ruin. And I'm like, berserk, because I'm not a living model. So you berserk into one of your own birds and kill it. And then I'm like, is Blightbringer enemy model? And you're like, I don't have time to check. I'm just going to kill all the birds. So you proceed to kill like a lot of birds. Like, I think almost all of them.
Yeah.
You swing into the tentacle and kill it too. And meanwhile, I'm like, okay, like, I mean, I'll look it up, and I look it up, and it definitely, like, you can definitely stop. You don't have to, but you sure can.
Yeah, so I just gave Alexia 5 corpses for effectively no reason.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, the reason was because you were low on clock and didn't have time to check, but I still think the difference between resolving all those attacks and checking is maybe a good reason to have your rule cards on hand.
Public service announcements, just read your cards.
Yep, yeah, our RTFC, as they like to say. The F stands for fun. So Alexia places a whole bunch of Risen. She places 3 to each bird. Last time we did 2 to each bird, it wasn't enough. I'm at the sort of sub 10 minute mark, and I'm looking at clock as being a major win condition at this stage. So my goal is to not be down on scenario. Right now, Craig scored 2 points on his turn, so he got himself to a position where he has a tie with me scenario-wise, but he definitely has the attrition lead. What I'm gambling on is that he won't be able to make enough attacks to maintain a scenario lead if I can take it back. So I basically can't get to his flag with anything super relevant. So my goal this turn is to clear my zone and to clear my flag, to score 2 points, to contest his zone, and only let him score 1. So my goal at the end of this turn is to be up a point. The Koldun Lord comes in, and he is a boss. He kills a bird, battle wizards into the minus armor, does a big damage roll to the Chosen, and he's on I think 3 boxes or 2 boxes or something like that. He was on 1 plus his healing. The Greylord Escort does no healing, and the upkept Veil of Mists allow the Doom Reavers to sort of walk through that train. We get a couple of attacks. I do no damage on any of them, but I do deny healing in that little bubble. And the Greylord himself kills a bird. On the other side of the board, we go ahead and make all the Risen attacks. So 3-person Risen attacks, kill a couple birds that are contesting there. Alexia turns one into a Thrall Warrior. And the Koldun Lord does the debuffing armor spell on the tentacle, and then rolls damage and just kills it with that attack. So that's perfect. Thrall Warrior charges, again, just trying to be in Craig's zone and annoying. Does not do enough damage to kill, but some damage to that guy. Ternions are just running. They're just being in the zone. Again, the goal here is just you have to roll a bunch of dice and make a bunch of attacks here. We're down to Malakov on 4 and the Ternions. I think about where the Ternions can kill pieces and where they can get to. I already made the charge attack with the Greylord Forge Seer, which didn't quite kill that Chosen. So now I have to see if with the Chosen without moving, I can get into 1-inch melee range of all 3 of them. So I throw it on a proxy base, check that out, and it does look like I can get the Destroyer into all 3 of them. So Destroyer makes his first attack, hits, that's key. Power 17, this is the guy with only a couple boxes left from the debuffed armor, and it's also dice +2. Second attack hits, crit amputation, doesn't matter on him. And I think about boosting damage and opt to just heart of the cards here, the dice. He fails his tough check and gets promoted. The last guy I hit, and I do just enough damage to kill him because he took some damage before. And He toughs, but I buy my last attack and finish him off. So I've almost cleared the zone. We're getting real close. That destroyer definitely punched above his class. Ternions are going to charge. So 2 of them charge the ogre. They're only POW 10s, but they roll real nice for damage, and they don't quite kill that guy, but he can't heal because he's in the Greylord Escort's range, so the second charge attack kills him. So he can't tough, can't heal, and is toast. Mm-hmm. So zone cleared. Step 1. Zone cleared, flag cleared. I'm getting 2 points. I'm contesting one of the things. Craig's getting 1 point. I'll go up to a 1-point lead at the end of this turn. Malakov is camping 4. Alexia has a bunch of corpses. He walks into his own veil, so he could come out and kind of be a jerk next turn if he needs to. It's to Craig's turn. Again, getting real tight on clock. Harrier goes in and I think does a bunch of damage to the destroyer.
Yeah, like 3, which is a lot more than you expect.
Yeah.
And then just be done. The Chosen walk over, clear their zone. Kallus Dark Guidance.
Yep.
Like he does.
Yep. And with 2 attacks apiece, they managed to kill the Ternions without too much trouble.
Yeah. I forgot to spawn my tentacle this turn, actually, just on account of being super low on clock. So
comes to me. I scored my flag, but not my zone. You scored your flag and your zone. So we're now tied. You were at 3. You're at 5. I'm now also at 5. So it's tie at 5, and you ship the clock with not very much time left. I send Alexia and the Risen in to contest a bunch of things and to craft a Thrall Warrior. We take a Thrall Warrior, and we charge in. And this time the Thrall Warrior manages to kill the Chosen. Tough check says, nope. That's 1 less attack that you've got available to you to do. Ternions here are going to run. One of them was in the melee of the tentacle, so it just moved into melee with the tentacle. The other 2 were not, so they run to within 4 inches of the flag to contest it. And then the Destroyer misses an attack on the Harrier. The Koldun Lord charges it, hits, and does not enough damage to kill it. The Greylord Forge Seer charges it. He misses it with his charge attack. Doom River walks in. He stays out of 1 inch melee, but in 2 inch of the Harrier. He makes an attack on the bird, kills the bird, berserks into the Harrier, hits the Harrier, POW 12, rolls trip 1s, but does still do damage to it because it's been debuffed by the Koldun Lord. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, this Harrier is just not dying. Like, I can't kill it. The Destroyer didn't kill it. I'm basically not going to score my zone, which is a big deal. But I will get my flag, and I will contest Craig's flag. So I ship the turn without much else to do. And that functionally is the game. At this point, what happens, I'm going to go over this right quick, is I'm up a point. It chips to Craig, and he doesn't have enough time on his clock left to do anything meaningful in a turn. Mm-hmm. And you basically have to flip the clock back. And having flipped the clock back, I'm still up at least a point, and I've got about a minute to play cleanup.
Yeah.
Woo!
So it wound up being like 15 seconds to my clocking, so that was a close game.
It was very close, and I think you were definitely advantaged attrition-wise. If you'd been able to kind of like maybe even play the last minute a little tighter, there you might have been in a position to do those kind of things. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you didn't make 5 berserk attacks with the stupid monger. Yeah, I mean, lessons learned. Really tight game. Really, really good match as far as I'm concerned. Thanks very much again for playing with us, Craig.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we'll try to feature a little bit more Wolves of Winter in the future, and also a little bit more Primal Terrors, specifically the Kallus1 version of the list. I think it's an incredible benchmark of the metagame right now, and I think being able to play into it is a testament to a list being able to sort of be a force in the game right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So thanks again, Craig. We'll have you on again soon.
All right, thank you.